Imagine you are a U.S. citizen, but you're living in Paris. Usually, U.S. securities laws kind of follow you overseas like a shadow, right? They lock you out of early-stage token projects. But today, we are unpacking a really fascinating safe harbor that changes all of that. We're looking at how Intercoin is actually helping projects raise capital and, well, get their tokens live worldwide without getting absolutely crushed by complex SEC regulations.
Yeah, and it is really vital to understand we aren't talking about dodging the rules here. I mean, we are talking about stacking two very specific SEC exemptions. So that's Regulation S and Section 4A1, and then hard coding them directly into smart contracts.
Which is just a massive relief for anyone trying to launch a project.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually, if you want to be compliant in the U.S., you're stuck relying on regulation crowdfunding or Red CF.
Right, exactly.
And that means setting up these funding portals, enforcing strict investment caps, and, paying for really expensive financial reviews just to file a massive Form C. But this new pathway through Intercoin skips all that heavy bureaucracy. So let's talk about how this actually works. The secret sauce seems to be how the SEC defines who a U.S. person actually is.
Yeah, that is definitely the linchpin of the whole thing.
Right.
So the SEC defines a U.S. person by residency, not by citizenship. So that U.S. citizen living in Paris,
Right.
they legally count as an offshore investor. Under Regulation S, as long as the initial token sale happens entirely offshore to non-U.S. residents, well, you just don't have to register the token as a security in the United States.
Okay, but the SEC isn't naive, right?
Yeah.
They know someone could just buy a token in Paris and then instantly flip it to someone in New York.
Oh, absolutely. They are very aware of that.
Right, so to prevent that, Regulation S requires this 40-day distribution compliance period. It's essentially like a legal quarantine.
A legal quarantine is a great way to visualize it, yeah.
Yeah.
And the SEC actually relies on that 40-day window to ensure the domestic market doesn't get flooded. And this is where the technology enforces the law way better than paper ever could.
Because of the smart contracts.
Exactly. The project uses a smart contract as this, unbribable bouncer. It places a hard on-chain lock, so absolutely no transfers can happen for exactly 40 days.
Wow, so there's no trusting the buyer to play nice. The code literally prevents the tokens from moving. So by locking them up, the issuer mathematically proves to the SEC that the tokens have safely, quote-unquote, come to rest overseas.
Yes, it's mathematically proven compliance.
But, okay, let's play this out. The bouncer keeps everyone inside the club for 40 days. Then day 41 arrives, the quarantine drops. Suddenly you have a bunch of non-U.S. buyers holding liquid assets. How do they legally take profit without violating those rules we just appeased?
So once that 40-day lock expires, the second exemption kicks in, which is Section 4A1. This rule basically states that if you are just an everyday buyer, meaning you're not the issuer and you're not an underwriter, you are legally allowed to resell those tokens globally.
Including back into the U.S. market, which is wild.
Yeah.
But this is where I get a bit tripped up. To stay compliant, these projects usually avoid listing on centralized U.S. exchanges.
Yeah, they really have to.
So if I want to sell my tokens to you, and we don't have an exchange, aren't we stuck doing this peer-to-peer? I mean, that sounds like a total nightmare of negotiating in messy DMs, just hoping you actually send the money when I send the token.
It would be a total nightmare, yeah, until you introduce the execution layer. Specifically, this is the Open Claiming Protocol, or OCP. It completely removes the need for DMs or centralized order books.
Wait, really? How does it do that?
Instead, it uses these cryptographically signed executable intents.
Okay, let's translate that for a second. If I want to sell my token, what am I actually doing instead of messaging someone?
Think of it like handing the blockchain a highly restricted, self-executing blank check. You sign a piece of code saying, I authorize the sale of 100 tokens for $10, and this offer self-destructs tomorrow at noon.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, you aren't sending this to a specific person. You're broadcasting a verifiable capability out there.
So I just pin this check to a decentralized bulletin board. I don't need a broker. Anyone out there who wants those tokens can see my intent, sign it themselves, and the smart contract instantly swaps the funds and the tokens at the exact same millisecond.
Exactly, at the exact same millisecond. No counterparty risk and no haggling at all. You bypass the centralized exchange entirely. Decentralized interfaces just aggregate these intents so buyers and sellers can find each other, and the smart contract handles all the trustless settlement.
We're taking the hardest parts of global capital, raising, compliance, escrow, matching buyers and sellers, and literally turning them into a decentralized software pipeline. Intercoin is showing how you can replace the middlemen with cryptography so tokens can finally flow freely.
It is huge. It proves that complex legal frameworks can actually be mapped directly into code. Entire secondary markets are functioning right now just using these intent-based agreements.
It really makes you wonder, if cryptographic intents can entirely replace Wall Street brokers and massive clearinghouses, what other everyday legal agreements in your own life are about to be replaced by a simple line of self-executing code? Think about that the next time you find yourself signing a massive paper contract in the dark.